7:45 p.m. And as part of the rise report, we have a number of motions to pass. And the first one is regarding receiving information and about approval of draft plan of subdivision and directing staff to regarding a public meeting under the Planning Act. So a mover and a seconder for this motion, please. Thank you, Mr. Malloy. And the seconder would be, thank you, Mr. Helping. Be it hereby resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Village of Miracle Wolford has hereby received the application for approval of draft plan of subdivision 07-T-20202, known as McLean Landing Phase 2, together with preliminary planning and engineering comments from JP2G Consultants, Inc., and that Council does hereby direct staff to schedule a public meeting with respect to the above referenced application as per requirements set out in the Planning Act. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you.
Your Worship, and just a word of caution on this. This was the request that was discussed in camera, and to protect the confidentiality of the applicant, their name has not been included in this resolution.
Okay, so a mover and a seconder for that. This motion, please. Thank you, Mr. Malloy, and a seconder would be Mr. Foster. Thank you. Whereas given the rare and extenuating circumstances surrounding the interest accumulated with respect to property tax billing at the property located at roll number 714-015-08000, be it hereby resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Village of Miracle Wolford does hereby waive interest charges related to property taxes in the amount of $23.74 with respect to the property located at roll number 714-015-08000. All in favor? And that's carried as well. Thank you. And next we have minutes of the special council meeting from September the 11th. So mover and a seconder for those. Thank you, Mr. Foster, and seconded by Mr. Malloy. Be it hereby resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Village of Miracle Wolford does hereby approve the minutes of the special council meeting of September the 11th, 2020, as circulated. Any errors and or omissions? None noted. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And consider the minutes of a regular council meeting of September the 14th. So mover and a seconder for these minutes, please. Thank you, Mr. Malloy. And a seconder, Mr. Foster. Be it hereby resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Village of Miracle Wolford does hereby approve the minutes of the regular council meeting of September the 14th, 2020, as circulated. Any errors and or omissions? None. Sorry, Mr. Malloy?
Questions?
Question, yes?
Yeah. Just CAOR 230-20, it's on the second page, back of the first page. Given everything that's going on, I think maybe this has already been answered, but it was supposed to be being a report regarding the framework for reopening the village office and challenges arising due to COVID-19. Are we any? It's on the back of the first page.
Sorry, Your Worship, I'm just trying to catch up to you here. I got it. Thank you.
Okay. Are we anywhere? Where are we with reopening the offices?
The same place we're at, Your Worship, at the time of the report. It's just been, has that been a week or so, Your Worship?
Yeah.
The numbers are continuing. We have been monitoring the numbers provincially. The numbers of confirmed cases are climbing fairly dramatically.
Yep.
It's quite concerning, I think. I don't want to quote numbers for sure, but I think today it was over 500 new cases in Ontario.
Over 700.
700 new cases in Ontario. So there seems to be growing concern. I won't be surprised if you see more businesses starting to scale back in terms of openness and so forth, but that remains to be seen.
But we're not taking any further action beyond the report that we had at the last council meeting at this time.
Correct. At least that would be my recommendation, Council. Like I would suggest, if anything, it's gotten worse since we brought this report forward.
Fair enough.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ryan. If there aren't any other questions or comments, you've heard the motion. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. do it now or later, but I haven't done those either.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Moving on to, next item would be under correspondence. And it's a correspondence from Elaine Empey, a mover and a seconder for that, please. Thank you, Mr. Malloy, as mover, and a seconder was, thank you, Mr. Cameron. Be it hereby resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Village of Maricville Wolford does hereby receive correspondence from Ms. Elaine Empey dated August the 26th, 2020 regarding Maricville Wolford signage for information purposes. So, I guess that's the question. Are staff going to be speaking with the individual and/or looking at the signage?
We are, Your Worship. So Public Works staff, our operations staff is looking at the situation to see if there are other alternative locations. We're also dealing with United Counties because United Counties Road, and we will be back in touch with the resident to discuss it with them.
Okay, so we could ask, and does the resident know that that's being done, or not yet?
I don't know if she knows yet, Your Worship, but she will imminently if we haven't
Be
already.
imminently advised that municipal staff are looking into it as you've outlined?
Correct, Your Worship, yeah.
Okay, great. Mr. Cameron?
I'm wondering, are we going to be able to expedite this for this lady? The sign is quite close to her driveway, and we've added signage, and there is a significant blockage when she's exiting her driveway.
Well, you gotta
So
be-
I think it would be a matter that would be of high priority, and that we should,
And
look
that's
at
why
this sooner
staff,
rather
yeah,
than later.
that's why staff have indicated they've already started to look into it and contacting the county as well, because it is on the county road allowance. Go ahead, Mr.
If I may just clarify, the sign has been there for years.
Yeah.
Yep.
The only change was when we placed the COVID-19 signs up.
Yep.
The resident contacted staff. Staff relocated that sign lower to improve sight lines.
Yep.
Our understanding is we have no reason to believe that from a technical perspective, there's any obstruction of sight lines.
Yep.
But our interactions are with her, quite
Yeah.
frankly, a customer service response. We're just trying to satisfy the residents' concerns.
So staff are looking at in conjunction with the resident as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
great.
just want to emphasize that I went out and looked at the sign today. I drove out of the driveway, and when there's approaching vehicles, you can see through the little gap that's there about 2 inches of an SUV. If it's a car that comes along, you don't see the car until it has past the signage, which is 80 feet. So an elderly lady entering and exiting, she's been there for many, many years, hasn't complained about the sign, but since we've added signage, we've added a impediment for her, and it's causing her concern, and I would like to see that staff expedite this.
Well, we've
and-
just already indicated that staff are doing that, so it's not just an individual. I think it's all of council appreciate staff being proactive to do what you've already just outlined. So you heard the motion, members, all in favor?
Yeah.
And members, this is a motion regarding the bursary for St. Michael's High School, and so I have a mover and a seconder. Put that on the table, please. Thank you, Mr. Foster, and a seconder would be Mr. Malloy. Be it hereby resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Village of Maricville Wolford does hereby receive correspondence from St. Michael Catholic High School dated September 25th, 2020, and that Council does hereby approve providing a bursary in the amount of, I'll leave that blank for the moment. Remind members, we did have the request from the Kemptville District Hospital earlier in the year, and earlier in the year, because we did approve that.
Why don't we refer to the...
Pardon, Mr. Malloy?
Why
Speak
don't we
up.
refer to the, instead of the hospital, refer to the money we gave North Grenville?
Sir, could you, I still can't.
Instead of referring to some money we gave the hospital, refer to the money
Did I,
we gave...
Kemptville,
You said hospital.
You said hospital.
my apologies.
Okay.
Sorry, Kemptville District High School.
Yeah.
Right. And you recall at that time, I think members asked, so have we heard anything from St. Mike's, and we have not. At any rate, very similar to what we've done in previous years, and I believe the amount is $125.
If I may, Your Worship, last year it was $100.
It was $100. What do we do for
North Grenville.
North Grenville this year?
If I may, that included the engraving of a plaque that was presented.
The 125.
Yes.
So it would have been 100 plus, so they're not asking for a plaque, I don't believe at this point. They're just asking for the bursary.
Well,
Mr.
the
Malloy?
plaques have to be engraved.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I spoke with, I believe it's Kim Brown,
Yes.
the author of the letter, and she indicated that we haven't had a plaque at St. Mike's previously.
Yeah, they don't have one, correct.
No.
They just get a check, I shouldn't say, they get a check. So,
All right, eh?
so if members agree, it would be the $100, which is very same as we do for, at previous years and that we do for the high school.
Yeah,
So all in favor? It's carried, thank you.
so North Granville does have a plaque though.
And next, some housekeeping bylaws. The first one is to, with the retirement of our chief building official, Mr. Wilkinson. So we need to repeal the appointment of him as our chief building official. So that's what this motion is. A mover and a seconder, please. Thank you, Mr. Helpney, seconded by Mr. Malloy. Be it hereby resolved that bylaw 15-2020, being a bylaw to repeal bylaw 12-97, a bylaw appointing Randall Wilkinson as chief building official for the village of Mayor Wolford be read a first and second time, and that bylaw 51-2020 be read a third and final time and passed. If there aren't any questions, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And the next bylaw is to, as direction to, at the previous meeting, to appoint Sean Merriman as a deputy chief building official. That's what this motion is for. Mover and a seconder, please. Thank you, Mr. Cameron, and seconded by Mr. Foster. Be it hereby resolved that bylaw 52-2020, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 45-2020, a bylaw appointing Sean Merriman as deputy chief building official for the village of Mayor Wolford be read a first and second time, and the bylaw 52-2020 be read a third and final time and passed. If there aren't any questions, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And we should now have a confirmatory bylaw. So confirmatory bylaw, and I'll move in a seconder for that, please. And me too would do. Thank you, Mr. Cameron. And a seconder, thank you, Mr. Foster.
Sorry.
Be it hereby,
Well, what's this?
Mr. Malloy?
Yeah, what's this next one? There's one right here.
I'm
So
sorry?
we appointed Sean as deputy chief building officer official. But then this one says the following words, Sean Merriman is hereby appointed as chief building officer.
It's an amendment.
So does staff.
If I may just clarify, Your
Look
Worship.
at those.
Gentlemen, go ahead.
If I may help, Your Worship. So, when Randy Wilkinson was still here, he was our chief building official. Now that, and Sean Merriman was appointed as deputy chief building official. The Building Code Act requires us to have a chief building official, so we're repealing the bylaw appointing Randy, which you've already done. This one is to amend the bylaw,
Yeah.
which previously appointed Sean Merriman to deputy chief building official,
Yeah.
to make him the chief building official to satisfy
Yeah,
legislation.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
This is here though.
Thank you. This is our confirmatory bylaw, moved by Mr. Cameron, seconded by Mr. Foster. Be it hereby resolved that bylaw 50-2020 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular council meeting of September the 28th, 2020, be read a first and second time, and the bylaw 50-2020 be read a third and final time and passed. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And now, motion to adjourn. Mover and a seconder, please. Thank you, Mr.
I'm still confused though.
Sorry, we just hit the pause button for a moment on
Yeah,
that.
bylaw number 52-2020, did we vote on that? I don't think we did.
Sorry, Your Worship, just allow me to catch back up to you here. Sorry, I'm sorry, Councillor Malloy referred to bylaw 50-2020,
52.
52-2020,
52-2020.
which is Sean Merriman becoming the chief building official.
I'll just look into the deputy clerk to confirm.
Sure. If I may, I have it recorded as it was voted on and carried.
Okay, so then, the next question becomes, then what about bylaw 50-2020?
And we voted on that as well.
Yeah.
That was the one, Your Worship, that we just did.
Okay.
This is the one we voted on, right, Jim? It's to amend the bylaw, so we voted to amend it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Mr. Roy?
Yeah, I'm just making sure.
Mr. Cameron, same,
just understand-
similar question?
I'm just understanding Mr. Malloy's concern because bylaw 52/2020 on my docket here says that we're appointing him as deputy chief,
Yeah.
not chief building inspector.
Turn to staff for a moment, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. If I may, the wording on the resolution with respect to that bylaw only refers to the title of bylaw 45/2020, and that was a bylaw to appoint a deputy chief building official. So we've amended the bylaw to appoint a deputy chief building official to remove the word deputy and to replace that, the paragraph of 45/2020.
And that's 52/2020.
Yes.
Okay.
Great.
But we
Thank you.
appreciate the diligence, Your Worship.
Yeah.
We're not perfect.
No, it's great. So we're halfway through getting the motion on the table to adjourn. I have Mr. Malloy as the mover, and now I'm going to be looking for a seconder. Thank you, Mr. Cameron. Be it hereby resolved that this regular meeting of the Council of the Corporation of the Village of Miracle Wolford is now adjourned at 9:05 p.m. until the next regular meeting of the council on Tuesday, October the 13th, 2020 at 7 p.m. or until the call of the mayor is subject to need. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you all very much.